How you guys doing? And thanks for tuning in to Wicked Warnings. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the auto flasher module and bring you up to speed on how we currently are doing it. We're always improving this, so this is where we're at right now, and this is being filmed early June of 2022. So as of how you can buy the module, there are three different ways that it's going to be sold. The first way is going to be a wire cut module. Now that's not labeled as anything special. You'll notice the individual variations, some of which have a banner on the bottom in green that says no cut. Okay, the regular versions that don't have that, they're a standard wire-in version. Now you can see, here's an example of a kit like that right here. The kits are going to come now with a sticker on them, depending on which application you're using. And that sticker is going to have a QR code. That QR code is going to lead you to your instructional video and the PDF where you can get all the instructions. So make sure to retain that sticker on the bag and make sure your installer gets it. The wire-in kit does require wire cutting. And at that time, you're going to need to waterproof, if necessary, those connections. This kit's going to come with the bulk wire needed to do the task, and then the auto flasher module. Yes, the modules are all the same. Different kits use the same heart, the V3 WAF module. So you'll get a module and the wire needed for the cut kit. The reason it has to be a cut kit is because there's not always any other way. Certain applications, one, for instance, the cargo light on this 22 Power Boost F-150 require to cut a wire to be able to flash a light. There are other applications like the amber light on the Super Duty that simply have to have a wire cut because there is no accessible connector to work with. So in order to flash a certain light, you must cut the wire. That would be a wire-in kit, as you see here. Now the other way we're selling these kits is what I call the wire swap method. That is labeled as a no-cut kit. The benefit to that is you actually swap a wire in the factory connector. Now those kits will also have their own sticker and instructions, and they're usually designated with an NC, a no-cut variation in the part number. And what I mean by swapping a wire is if we can imagine that this here is the wire on the factory truck, as you can see right over there hanging to the upper right of the screen. What we're going to be ended up doing is we're actually removing one of these wires from the factory connector, and we're going to replace it with the wire here that we already have pre-pinned and heat shrink set up ready to go. Now, a closer shot of that is this right here. And what we've done for you in order to make this an easier install is I've stripped back the outer insulation. I've put the waterproof heat shrinking here to cover any accidental nick on the inner jacketed wire. And we've connected it with the two Molex connection pins required to do that swap. This square one is the pin that will be going into the factory connector once you remove the factory wire. You'll slide out the factory wire. You'll slide in this square pin, and then the factory wire, which looks just like this, will then bond with the other mating pin in our kit, just like that. And after that's bonded like that, then we use the heat shrink, forgive the focus jump, we use the heat shrink to cover that up and seal it up. Now, if you ever wanted to cut away the heat shrink later, clean the factory connector, and put it back into the connector, you could. There would be no problem with that. So that's why it's reversible. That's why it's a no-cut kit. We're not actually cutting the factory wire with this method. Now, it's fairly easy to do this. I'll show you a real quick demonstration right here on this one. And again, forgive the focus jumping. Basically, what we're doing, there we go. So we're going to slightly lift up with a screwdriver this white connector right here, like that. This is tactical. You need to feel. It'll go to a certain level and kind of snap. And that's all we really need. We just need to lift it up to that portion right about there. We do not need to take it all the way out. No need for that. Okay, the next thing is, right here you'll see circular and rectangular slots. We need to access the circular slot with a small paper clip, or what I like to use is a modified hat pin. This is what I use. Now I've clipped the tip on this and rounded it and smoothed it. And these are just T-pins, just a basic pin. And I've just cut the tip off and actually just kind of smoothed the end of it there I don't know if it'll get focus or not. There you go. And what you do is once you have popped this open like that, okay, say we were trying to remove this white wire right here. That's 3 over from the top here. Man, the focus is just killing me, guys. I'm sorry. So 3 over from the top here. This is how we're going to remove it. Okay, so if we were trying to remove this white wire, which is the 3rd wire over on the top row, this is what we do. We insert this tool into the round portion right there, and we're looking for a tactical feel. As we push it down further, it will get to a point where you'll feel a slight click, a little bit of a bump as it releases the wire retainer. At that point, you could simultaneously pull on the wire, and you can actually release it from the back of the connector just like that. Okay, if you look at the connector, you'll see that on the connector itself, there's a bump on the top. Okay, see the top that has a little relief? That is for that top relief. It's for this bump right here on the top of this. So to reinstall the wicked wire after this, you just simply remove this pin, and you'll reinstall the connector exactly the same way with the bump going up. Slide it in here. There is a rubber gasket. Sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it to get it through. And then you'll hear an audible click when it reaches its destination. Let's listen. There it is. Now we back up, try to pull it. We can't pull it. Okay? Don't pull real hard. We're not trying to rip it apart. When we feel as though it's locked in place, we can push this back down. And you'll hear another click as that gets pushed back down. Okay, that's as easy as it is to swap a wire in the factory connector, okay? So that is what we're doing for 99% of these kits right now, is we're going to use that method as long as the vehicle has a Molex connector, which all the GM does and all the Ford does. We're going to be using that. Now, if that connection is still not quite what you're looking for, and actually, to elaborate just a bit on what is in the no-cut kit, here we've broken one open. We have a 30 or a 15-foot piece of 18.5, and 30-foot piece is going to run from the back of the truck forward. That's going to be used for all of our kits that mount in the rear, like our rear reverse, rear signal, rear brake, all of that stuff. So the 15-footers are for the kits that mount in the front, like your DRLs on your headlights or your fog lights, etc. You're going to get a 10-foot and a 2-foot extension wire. Now, there are some field seams here that you're going to need to do, okay? Also going to get yourself a brand new version 3 auto flasher right here. And in the box, you can see here's the auto flasher module. Okay, here's the 5 wires. This is your power and control side. And these are your input-output channels, okay? These channels are separate like this. And this goes to one of the factory lights, and this goes to the other factory light. Now, the field seam we leave is here at the module to the 18.5. This is going to connect to your 18.5, and your actual 18.5, as you can see, is color matched. So we just simply connect all those. The reason I leave that field seam for you is because many people will run more on the rear or the front than just the auto flasher, and they like to share the power and the ground from the switched 18.5 with another light, say a TIR3 or something in the grill. That's okay. So you have the right to make this connection here and to pull the 18.5 forward, and then you at your switch, you have all the features of the auto flasher. And the other field seam that we leave you is here on the extension wires. Okay, that is because with these Molex pins, it's easiest to do the pin work at the connector and then run the wire over to the auto flasher module and trim to fit here, okay? Same thing with this one. We'll do the pin work at the connector, and we run the wire from the passenger side over. The reason we have 2 different lengths of wire here is the longer one is always for the opposite side. So on the rear of the truck, we mount most often our modules on the driver's side. We run the longer wire over to the passenger side. If it's a Super Duty 2020 or newer, we'll mount them on the passenger so we can run the 18.5 up the passenger frame to the auxiliary switches. But the reason we do that is so you can trim these wires to fit and make them whatever length you need. You can always coil up the extra, no big deal. But this also allows us to package the modules individually, separate of the harnesses, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of different harnesses that are all going to be set up different ways. So This is what you're going to get in the majority of all of the kits with the no cut. It's going to look just like this with a 2-foot and a 10-foot. If you're marrying a reverse kit and a rear signal or rear parking light kit, then you might want to set them on the same pattern and synchronize them. Majority of the kits are not even really going to use the white flood wire. It's a feature that it's useful on a reverse circuit or a mirror circuit or something like that, but a lot of the kits don't even use it. And the blue wire is, of course, your pattern control. So a lot of times the yellow and the white wire are not even used. And then once you set your pattern with the blue wire, a lot of times that one isn't even used. So at the other end of this 18.5, you may have wires you're just not even really using. And feel free to modify the install if you see fit. We're going to get some heat shrink and some uninsulated butt connectors in every kit for you. That's going to be for connecting your 2 and 10 to the extension here on the auto flasher, and also for connecting the 18.5, which looks like this one. It's stripped for that to the auto flasher right there. And then, like I say, if you need to add more power and ground, you can feel free to do that. Now, if this is still a little bit too much work for you, what we're also offering is we can take these connections right here and we can do a plug and play. Now, these are an additional purchase. As you can see here, we have the plug and play harnesses, and I'll bring them down into shot here. We've developed and made up the connectors for fog lights and headlights and tail lights for as many manufacturers, as many applications as we can. We're always adding more, so bear with us. And when you order these, in addition to your kit, we're going to go ahead and take care of the connection at the end here. You won't get a pin swap connection like this. We're going to marry that into the kit for you right there. Then you'll be left with the final field seam of this to the module, just like we spoke about before. What you'll be left connecting, instead of any work at the connectors, you'll just have the field seam here and the field seam here. So those will be the only connections you make if you order the plug and play adapters. The plug and play adapters, not really required, but I understand if you want them, then that's why we're making them. So they will be linked in all the different kit variations for purchase. And as I said, keep checking back. We're doing our best to make them more and more accessible, and we're doing our best to make them at a competitive, affordable price point. So I hope this kind of explained the 3 different versions of this kit and how you're going to end up installing it, just so you can have a good recollection. What we're going to go over: the wire install kit, the wire swap no cut kit, and finally the addition of the plug and play adapters if you want to go that far. I would say 99% of our clients are using this wire swap no cut kit without the added expense of the plug and play connectors, and they're doing just fine. The trick of it is to make sure you use the smaller size paper clip or the hat pin, and I'm thinking about providing the hat pin with the kits. I just have to see if I can pull that off or not. We may end up starting to tape one of those pins on every one of these bags, just so you guys have it as well. So keep an eye out for that. And I hope this information was useful. Any questions, let me know. Any more detail needed, let me know. I'll try to revise this video or post in the comments and let y'all know what more info I can put in there. But I hope this gives you a real good, thorough explanation of the 3 methods, how they connect to your truck, what you're responsible for. Remember the switch discussion, and how these modules are going to integrate in your truck. Each version is going to be a little different. The cargo module might mount behind the cargo light, or it might mount in the sill panel of the rear door, like on an F-150. Your mirror modules might mount down by the kick panel. Your front lighting modules mostly mount up in the front on the fenders by underneath the hood, and the rear lighting modules mostly mount behind the tail light, either passenger or driver. The specific instructions that you're going to need to QR to, they're going to tell you all about that. So, speaking on where we're mounting a 3/4 switch, and speaking about switches in general, the switches on these kits are always left up to you end users. Reason being is that we sell a lot of different switches. Some of the F-150s and Super Duties have factory switches, auxiliaries from Ford. Other people want multiple functionality, so they need a 6-switch unit like our Mini 6. Even yet, some people like a single rocker, like this customer. We're going to put a single rocker switch, an amber one, right here. And that was an easy enough spot to drill a 3/4 hole, and we'll be able to snap the switch right in like that, and it'll work out good. And some clients want a siren with this switch control right on the handheld unit for the siren, like our Carson handheld volunteer siren. And other people might want a remote instead, the key fob switch we sell. So power to your switch and your switch are left up to you. The auto flasher kit does not have a switch in it. That is all up to you, but it's very easy to add a switch. Any one of the ones I just recommended will work fine. You can control many auto flashers off of one switch, or you can split them up. It is, again, your choice, 100%. Thanks again for watching Wicked Warnings. I hope you appreciate the information provided. And again, if you need anything, hit us up and let us know, and I'll add to the video. We appreciate you tuning in to the #1 source for construction and emergency safety strobe lighting equipment for cars, vans, buses, bicycles, tricycles, everything in between, and especially this auto flasher module that was developed, designed, tested, and manufactured here at Wicked Warnings. This is one of a kind, made by us, nowhere else in the world available except a few select distributors, resellers that are linked up with us. So if you have any question about if you ever see this anywhere else, get a hold of us and make sure it's authorized, or you might be looking at a counterfeit copy. See you on the next video.